Erik ten Hag's dilemma, selection dilemma ahead of Southampton this weekend. Ugarte gets more minutes. De Ligt gets game time but gets heavily criticised for his performance for the second game in a row on international duty. Loads of key first team players rested for Manchester United. Could this be the first game where Ten Hag has had absolutely everyone to select from, barring a couple of players? Everybody is hitting their straps and he's where they need to be. It's decision time for Erik. He's got everything at his disposal. Which way will he go? Will it be CASEMIRO? Will it be Manuel Ugarte? Will De Ligt hold his place after them performances? We're going to discuss everything that happened on international duty, all the news that came out after them games last night and early this morning, and fully looking ahead now for the rest of this week to that Southampton game. Are the reports coming in that these players are ready to go? We had the messages last night on what Ten Hag wants from these players. Are we going to get it for the first time? Well, maybe in Ten Hag's leading time at Manchester United. It's Forever United TV. This is your morning update, getting you updated with everything that's going on. You don't need to look through social media. I can tell you everything that's happening right now. To make sure that you miss out on none of that, make sure that you hit that subscribe button and bell notification button next to it to miss nothing United news-wise. Please give this video a like and let's get into what actually is going on with United this morning, the 11th of September. Yes, almost there. Almost there. I mean, looking... Southampton, 12:30 on Saturday. Honestly, it's one of them, isn't it? You just know that you're going to go into the weekend, all the excitement, international games are all finished. We're the first game out as well, so everyone's ready to go, and you're either going to get a complete and utter spoiler of a weekend because United have just absolutely bummed out again, or it's going to set you up for the whole weekend and we're going to get a positive result and look forward to all of the games coming up. 7 of them in this next batch of games to get through. It is going to be thick and fast action. I've got you covered on everything going on. Good morning, everybody, as well in the chat. Get your comments in. Let me know how you're feeling after the internationals. Was it a good international break for you? Are the players that needed game time getting that game time? And are you happy that last night was quite a few rested Man United players? Ahmed Diallo only played 22 minutes as well. Mazraoui didn't play the night before. And obviously Mainu, Maguire, Xerxes and Garnacho played 0 minutes yesterday. Fresh, ready to go. No excuse. Let's get into the conversation. Bigger dilemma. Stop his favouritism. Drop Rashford in the super chat, says Black Sheep. That on Ten Hag and who he's going to select this weekend. So, Manuel Ugarte plays 90 minutes last night for Uruguay. 2 games he's played, 2 games he started, 70 minutes and 90 minutes. He's more than ready. Uruguay didn't concede a goal in both of them games. Manchester United's big issue, mistakes, conceding goals, defensive lapses. When you've got that extra cover in front of you, I think it's a no-brainer. Everybody can see how he affects games and what he could do for Manchester United. Surely he has to start. He'll be back today into Manchester and has 2 full days to be ready for the game against Southampton. Is that enough? We discussed it. It is the other game, and a lot of people would say 2 games back from international duty, coming from South America, jet lag and all of that. First class can be a bit of a bitch, can't it, when travelling across the world? I'm joking. I had to get that in there because sometimes I just listen to people talking about jet lag and getting over things and just like, well they've got a bed, haven't they? But no. Look, I always go back to something that Cahill said at Everton, the finger, Tim Cahill from Everton, the Australian midfielder, and he was asked the question when he came back from one international duty, how you found it dealing with the jet lag and everything like that. He says, no mate, I travelled first class, I slept all the way. So I'm just looking at that and going, there's your benchmark. But then again, Tim Cahill is of that hardcore sort of not United player, but Premier League footballer or modern day footballer that you just don't get anymore. But Manuel Ugarte, let's just talk, has to be playing for Manchester United, in my opinion, this weekend. We've got a poll running right now in the chat, guys. And let's see what we get and where we get by the end of this show with this poll. Will Erik ten Hag start Ugarte on Saturday? Now, I know you all have your opinions, but the question is quite clear there. And I think a lot of you are going down that road in terms of your answers there, which is, will Ten Hag start Ugarte? I know you would. I know you'd love to see him in that side. And I don't think there's any excuse not to start him. But I feel like, again, like a lot of you, like 51% of you already are thinking no. It's a 50-50 split, really, on that decision. But you can see why. I can totally see why Ten Hag wouldn't play him. Like, CASEMIRO hasn't travelled. Obviously, he's going to be, raring to go. But then again, I'd rather have someone who's actually had game time over the last 2 weeks starting, who's actually playing well. sometimes is an overriding factor in decisions. And yeah, you may think that you're being smart in not throwing a player right in, but what game is easier to bring him into? Honestly, like, the player is ready and will be available to play. So is it easier to bring him in against Crystal Palace next week? Because I wouldn't be risking him against Barnsley. I don't think we need to be playing our first team players against Barnsley. If you want to see what Collier's made of and what the likes of Amasa made of, then these players should be playing in the game on Tuesday night against Barnsley. Not the likes of Ugarte. I think, yeah, maybe you could play CASEMIRO in that game. Maybe you could play the likes of Ericsson and Ahmad in a 10 or something like that. In that game. There's loads of options to do and mix it up. I don't want any excuses regarding we've got a game on Tuesday as well against Barnsley. Let's not even bring that into the situation here. And let's not even talk about that because it's a pointless conversation. We should be giving game time to players that really deserve game time and given a chance. And I'm talking Bain there as well in that game. But Southampton at weekend, look, if the players had 2 full days back from international break, whether it was any other player in the squad, we have to take internationals out of it completely. This decision is solely down to whether Ten Hag wants to play Ugarte or CASEMIRO. It's as simple as that. Whenever this comes around, everyone always talks internationals, no one having as much games. Look at every other South American player, because everyone's going to be saying, well, we should start Garnacho. I mean, to be honest, look at what Garnacho's had game time over the last, start of this season. It's not much more than Manuel Ugarte. A couple of appearances off the bench here and there. Manuel Ugarte has just played a 90-minute game and a 70-minute game. In terms of starts, he's had pretty much the same amount of starts this season since we kicked off as Alejandro Garnacho has. So really, take internationals out of the equation. It doesn't matter. And don't want anyone using this as an excuse, saying that Ten Hag is going to rest him because of the travel and all of that jazz. Look, it comes down to Ten Hag and if he wants to play him or not. Just forget about internationals. You know the players fit. Everybody else has been playing internationals this week. They're all in exactly the same boat. I think it's time that we started making some big cutthroat decisions. And you know what? I'll go through my team as the week goes on and how I would play it. But I just want to obviously make sure that everybody's back and we don't get any stories regarding little niggles or injuries that players have come back with. No problem so far as I can see, in terms of Manchester United players not being available because of an injury or knocks that have been picked up. So really, I think that United are in as best position as we possibly can be, or as we ever have been with Ten Hag in terms of squad selection and the possibilities that we've got. I feel like Ugarte, again, like you only have to look at his stats. They're at the bottom of the page right there for you all to read. I mean, it's quite straightforward. 90 minutes played, 4 tackles, 8 duels won, 3 interceptions, 1 clearance, 3 out of 3 successive dribbles, 83% pass accuracy. Manuel Ugarte, clean sheet for Uruguay, helping their team out over there in the qualifiers for the World Cup. It just makes common sense to me. And there were stories going out last night, and there's a report from, I think, Give Me Sport that was talking about there actually is a serious conversation going on right now, and Ten Hag really is giving consideration to playing Manuel Ugarte against Southampton, starting him. Such look, everyone who's saying like we don't start him because of international break, things like that, ease him in. I say play him for 60 minutes. Then bring him off. It's the best way. You've got a better chance if you're starting your better players, than you have in bringing your better players on. Look, Sir Alex Ferguson did this all of the time. He played his best team and then he hauled them all off when he needed to. There's certain players. He knew he needed a rest. 60 minutes came about and substitutions came in and they were taken off. Look, if you want to do that, that's fine. Look, the lad's just played 90 minutes and 70 minutes. He's fit and he's ready to go. So there's no excuse there. All anyone's doing, I think, in this poll is looking down the Ten Hag stubborn road, I feel, and actually looking into this and saying, I just don't see him doing it. I don't see him doing it because of the CASEMIRO factor. He wants to back CASEMIRO. I mean, CASEMIRO and everything that we talked about last night bring this argument in again. And he is one of them players that you know can just turn it on all of a sudden. And I think Ten Hag would have been working with him this week, and I said this yesterday. It's like the fear I've got is like you'll have all of these players absolutely smashing it, And Garnacho won't start this weekend against Southampton. There's not a chance that Garnacho will start. And I'll tell you why he won't start. Because Marcus Rashford has been training with Ten Hag and Garnacho's been away on international duty. And Ten Hag will always go with the players that have been training at home, which is why I think he'll play Casemiro as well. And rest Ugarte. Look, I don't know. Like, there's 2 full days of training after today, before the game against Southampton. And he made us look at everyone. He may assess Ugarte and maybe jumping the gun a bit. But I feel like he knows that Casemiro is in one of them spots right now, and he will really give consideration to playing Manuel Ugarte. And I think it is a tough decision. It's a dilemma, and it is going to show Ten Hag up for what he really is. He has got everything he needs now. He's got every single player ready to go, fully fit. I mean, you have to look at bleeding Delo and Bruno, who have played 90 minutes each, but have been back since Tuesday. So, really, like, both his England players, and Maguire and Mainu, fully rested. Honestly, it could not have worked out any better, this international break, for Manchester United and Ten Hag. And it's now down to him to use the tools that he's got to get the best result against Southampton this weekend. I'm in over the super chats. Adam, Erik Ten Hag is stubborn and won't flex his tactics. We have another super chat in there as well from Free Bayan Day. I think that's Stu, isn't it? Play Casemiro alongside Ugarte and rest Mainu. Simple, but you cannot play Casemiro as an 8, I don't think. That is the risk that you're running, I feel, there. A lot of people have said play Casemiro in 8. I thought he could have played an 8, to be honest, but no. Kobbie Mainoo doesn't need resting. He's already had a week off. He didn't play in the game for England last night. He's been rested. He's not played a game since Saturday. Every single one of these players can play 1 game a week. And at the start of the season, when you're trying to get match fitness, Kobbie Mainoo is definitely not going to be dropped. He is going to be playing this game 100% guaranteed. And we know that from Ten Hag's... the way that Ten Hag is anyway, with his key players. He's always going to play them. Let's get into more of it. Drop Rashford for posting stupid videos of what a normal professional does every day, from Stu as well. Liam says De Ligt had a shocker. At least he didn't leave on a stretcher. Look, form is temporary. And hopefully we can get the likes of Casemiro and De Ligt really back to form. Luckily, it was on international duty and not for Manchester United, and everyone's not going in on Matthias De Ligt. We'll talk about that in a minute. Marty says, Ten Hag still crying over losing McTominay. Stephen Williams, anyone wants £100 bet we don't finish in the top 6 by Christmas? It's not really a tough bet to have that. I think you're pretty much securing yourself with that there. Okay, like Christmas around the corner, I think United will still be finding their feet. And let's not forget, we've got the likes of Euro to come back and maybe January, so we could kick on in the new year. Look, I still expect Manchester United to be competing up to Christmas and actually performing. There's no excuse for us to just write off a half a season again like we tried to do last year, or we tried to be convinced it was last year. Like, let's not forget, like, you can fix this now. Let's not be talking in January about actually having a horrible start and then just praising an alright finish. Why don't we have a good first half of the season and a good second half of the season and finish in the top 4, eh? Because we've got enough players, eh? You know what I mean? Director of Football says Ugarte is a straight number 6, not a ball-playing 6. This is going to be interesting, and I want Mainu to do well, but I'm hoping Erik Ten Hag won't throw him under the bus to save himself. I'd play both with Eriksen. Eriksen, I'm not sure where you're going with that one, Director of Football. What? Ugarte, Kobbie Mainoo and Eriksen? Is that how you're saying it? I'm not sure. Erik Ten Hag will start his strongest team against Barnsley. Anana will play in the game. Erik Ten Hag is a cup manager. He thinks if he wins a cup, our league position means nothing. We need Champions League football, so he's done. Rashford and his PR training video. How about you perform on the pitch and stop doing PR BS? Adam says he's terrible manager. Need him gone. A lot of people going on this morning. Zidane would be amazing. There was talk of Zidane, actually, coming to United, and there's still a target for the club. And Sir Jim Radcliffe actually does want Zinedine Zidane at Manchester United. Oh, that will materialise as results go south, trust me, if that is the case for Manchester United season. But let's just leave that one there for now. Let's just deal with the players that we're actually looking at, and hopefully we can turn around this bleeding pre-season. That's what we need more than anything. I sent out a statement, make changes, and then I dropped Casemiro, dropped Rashford, dropped last match wasn't good enough. It wasn't, but he will still play them. Come on, Adam. We all know it tonight. He's going to start Casemiro. Yeah, I know what you're all saying. I just don't want to believe it. I don't. I want to see Ugarte play. And I really do believe in what I'm saying. Like, there is no excuse for him not to start him. He needs to kickstart his season quickly, Ten Hag. If he plays Casemiro and we have the same performance against Southampton that we did Liverpool, then he is really digging himself a hole. If he plays Ugarte and it doesn't quite work either way, well, he gets out of it a little bit because, look, he's trying to change something. He's dropped a well-decorated, world-class player for a player that has been brought in this summer. Look, we need to make changes this summer. We've brought certain players in to help us play a certain way. He wants the team to be more aggressive. He wants us to be on the front foot from the start of the game to the finish. Manuel Ugarte gives you that. Manuel Ugarte clearly is a defensive midfielder and just loves to sit there doing nothing. He is incredibly disciplined. And 2 clean sheets for Uruguay with him playing say exactly that. They are set out that way. And you've got Martinez behind him and De Ligt behind him. And De Ligt obviously has had a bit of a meltdown this week. And Ronald Koeman, I don't like Ronald Koeman. I really don't like him as a manager. I think he's a bit of a prick, to be honest. That's probably sounds a bit harsh, but I just don't like him. I don't like the way he speaks to people. I don't like the way he treats the media or anything like that. But obviously the Dutch are very upfront in what they said. And his comments about Matthijs de Ligt last night were that at the moment, I wanted to keep him on, but I had to make a decision. Right now, every single mistake he makes, he's being punished. It's just brutal in how they talk. There's nothing wrong with that. But I feel like Matthijs de Ligt will do better playing with Manchester United than he is that Holland side. Like I've never rated Koeman at all as a manager. I don't think he's the right type of character for Matthijs de Ligt. Hopefully, we can get the best out of him at Manchester United. But as a player there that's got the game time he needed. Yeah, it didn't go that well, but I'm thinking Martinez next to him. I'm thinking Ugarte in front of him. That experience, you've just got them workers around you, which will help, I think, with Matthijs de Ligt. And I think he's definitely a player that we need to keep in this side and keep selecting. Forget about international form. Okay, it's about getting games, and his season will kickstart and get going now. So I'm glad he's started both of them games. I'm glad everyone has got the minutes. Look, Xerxes was rested as well last night, and he didn't play either. So really, you've got everyone who sort of like Xerxes starting a game. Obviously, Garnacho only getting a few minutes for his. Like I don't see Garnacho starting now because of the internationals. I really don't. I think Rashford will start on that left-hand side. I think we'll have Ahmad, who has performed really well for the Ivory Coast over the international break, on the right, and Xerxes will be in the middle. We said the other day we're not going to be rushing the likes of Rasmus Højlund back. Whether or not Luke Shaw is available or not, we will find out when the questions get asked on, I think, is it Thursday? So tomorrow's press conference, I think Ten Hag talks to the media. I'm pretty certain it is Thursday that he does. So really, we'll just wait and see what he says there regarding Luke Shaw, because I've not seen any pictures, I've not seen any training videos or anything like that, if Luke Shaw is in action or not. So let's just see what comes about with Luke Shaw and see how many minutes he can play if he is fit. But it's like you've got Ugarte there and you've got Luke Shaw there. Ten Hag would happily put Luke Shaw straight into that side. I know he would. So what's the difference from Luke Shaw to Manuel Ugarte? You should be playing your best players, or you think can give you what you've said and what you want from this team. Aggressive action, basically. Like, be on the front foot, be in the opponent's faces. Like, you need to be more physical, and you've got that. You've got solid players there, and I feel like if he doesn't start playing these players that everybody knows can fit that mold and be that player, then he's just, like I said before, he's digging his own grave, isn't he? He's just so stubborn in his ways, thinking that I'm going to prove you right in this one game, forget about the other 10 in trying to get to this one game and we get this one performance. And this is how a lot of fans see it as well. It's like everyone's waiting for that moment from Marcus Rashford. Everyone's waiting for Ten Hag to be proved right on something. But they're all forgetting about the amount of games it's taken to get there and how many points we've dropped to get to that stage. Look at it for what it is right now. Who is your best team to set out against Southampton this weekend? Who are the best players? Get them in your side, and let's get this game won, and let's kickstart our season. It's taken long enough, hasn't it? Let's get into some more of your chats. Ten Hag seems to have the blinkers on. It says, and Eric Ten Hag is finished. There is no way he can string 5 wins in a row. We have no style and no leadership on the pitch. Did you guys see the Louis Ferrer post on Instagram? It was quite brutal, wasn't it? I'll just read it out right now for you guys. If you didn't see it, Louis Ferrer is the old number 2 of Jose Mourinho, obviously former Manchester United number 2. He says, what does stick to the plan mean? Analysing Manchester United matches is hard to identify a plan, because I believe a plan means a team has a strategy for a match. A team strategy is built on its playing identity, and there is no such identity to be found in those matches. Without an identity, there is no plan or strategy, just let's see what happens in the match. Ooh, brutal, absolutely brutal. And that's people looking in from the outside. And you have to look at it and go, well, there is an element of truth to that. It does look, a lot of the time with United, it's a bit of a hit and hope, doesn't it? Like, let's just see what we can get out of this game. Hopefully this game works well for us. Hopefully this game we can actually get the 3 points instead of going in knowing what you're going to do. I just look at it, it's always going to come across that way. It's like this weekend's game against Southampton. I expect United to win, but I expect it to be a scrappy little get-over-the-line win. There's not going to be any sort of like, whoa, I don't think. Like, there'll be moments in games, yes. But again, it keeps going back to that. Have we ever seen Man United actually compete and play for a full 90 minutes looking like there was a plan from the start? We don't get it, do we? That's the problem we've got. Stephen says, Mainu is just out of his old man sack. And don't need rest. Yeah. Let's see what else we've got in here. Time to deliver for Ten Hag. I'm sick of the excuses. He has been backed big time this summer. Once upon a time, we used to have 4 amazing strikers. I know. Options would be great. If that was the case, after Bruno had 80% of the season being arguably the worst player on the pitch, Bruno should have a seat on the bench named after him. Balance, he wasn't the worst. Come on, like, seriously, the agenda against Bruno Fernandes, he's not the worst player. For 80% of the season, director of football, I'm not giving you that one, mate. He isn't the worst player in this team. And I think everybody will look at it, and when Bruno's not there, you will see exactly. Like, the most embarrassing game last season, no Bruno Fernandes. That was Crystal Palace away. We had no idea what we were doing in there. Like, you won't know what Bruno is until he's gone. That's what I keep saying about him. Villa and Tottenham will beat us if Eric Ten Hag is still in charge. Then both of them games coming up in the next 7 matches. Rowan says Ten Hag's system depends so far has deepened on moments from Bruno and Rasha. How is that different from Ole? Even in the first season, the results were built on a good defence and moments FC. MUFC will thrash Southampton and kickstart the season. Wait and see, says Richie. Richie's confident. I like confidence. It's always good. It's like playing Russian roulette under Ten Hag. Either we lose and play terrible football, or we scumbag a 1-0 win. Match days are horrible. I think we should be tighter in midfield. Bruno a little deeper. Not as many Hollywood passes, and let the wingers and attackers push, but we press as one. You're always going to need that creative player who's going to do something different. You are. If you build like a solid foundation and you have that player who can do these different things. The problem Ten Hag has got is he keeps changing the front line. And if you don't have that connection from that creative midfielder to your forwards, then you're not going to have the chances created. You're not going to get the goals that you need. And that's the problem we've got. He keeps on chopping and changing and doesn't know what his best forward line is. And as long as you keep playing Rashford, then, yeah, you're up against it every single game. Almost 800 in the room. We only have 130 likes. Everybody, please get the likes up on the video. We should be at least over 200 right now. Come on, everybody, get to it. Bruno is not the worst players, but he's just one of the worst players. I don't see his leadership qualifications. I think we need to get off Bruno Fernandes right now and actually start looking at the real problems. I think Bruno, like you said, he is going to be that annoying player. That's just in his makeup. But he will do more good than he will do bad. Definitely. Bruno doesn't get into the top 6 clubs. Absolutely crap. Bruno gets into the top 6 clubs in this league. I'm going to argue against everybody on Bruno. Honestly, like, he just gets that rap because he's in a crap team. Well, he gets picked every single week for Portugal. He performs for Portugal. He's got a better team and he's got a system that they all know what they're playing. You know what's coming. This is the thing; it keeps coming. Like, I think with a lot of these players, like you could drop. I'm not against dropping Bruno Fernandes. I think time on the bench definitely would do him a favour. I do, but everyone's talking like he needs to be sold, like he's in the Rashford category. He's nowhere near in the Rashford sort of category of player at Manchester United. Nowhere near it. I think that's where I draw the line in the argument. Not one player deserves to play every single game at the club, and everyone's right on that. And everyone deserves to be dropped to the bench every now and then. I think it does players good, actually. Let's see what we've got. Portuguese fans don't like and Bruno at all. Yeah, they do. God, people are really digging out Bruno. I'm going to move off Bruno because everyone's going on one about Bruno right now. It's taking over the show. We should be talking about getting the team right. And hopefully Bruno gets us the winner this weekend and we can get that from there. But, I mean, Matthijs de Ligt, in terms of what he did last night, is there a shout for bringing Harry Maguire in is the question I want to ask you guys now. Is there a shout for Maguire starting the game against Southampton? Is it one of them like what Ronald Koeman does? Like, I've said my piece on Ronald Koeman and Matthijs de Ligt. Will he actually do better in being played now and playing through this bad patch of international duty? Or is there a case that Koeman's right, just take him out of the limelight? Take him out. We've all been saying that we should be dropping players. Like, you guys are saying drop Bruno Fernandes. Should we start Matthijs de Ligt because he's not had a couple of good games? This is the argument. It's like, you know what these players have got and you've got to check the mentality of these players. I feel like Matthijs de Ligt should start alongside Martinez. I think we should have Ugarte in front of him. And I think he'll be fine. I think he's got the character to handle the pressure and he's got the character to get through it. You've got the argument, obviously, with the likes of CASEMIRO and that as well. And obviously all of the players coming to his rescue saying that it is the system that's letting him down. If the constant leaks and problems coming out of United is about the style of play and these players not being able to perform to their best because of the setup, then we have to really look into that in detail as well. And like, if these players knew exactly what they were doing and there was a system in and they knew we were playing with these players every single week, week in, week out, surely you would be able to build your form up. Surely you would be able to find a way of discovering that form again. I just feel like I don't think Ten Hag knows the best position for Bruno Fernandes still. I think he is going down the road with Marcus Rashford, which will get him in trouble and get him the sack eventually. And he needs to commit to that backline. Like, he needs to obviously... And this is where this Luke Shaw thing comes into it again. I would still play Dalot ahead of Luke Shaw right now. I think United need to move... I've said this before. Like, move past Luke Shaw and play... when Malasia's fit, I'd play Malasia on the left-hand side. I think he's the natural left back. Sorry, and then you've got Dalot and Mazraoui on the right-hand side. I still feel comfortable. Like, Luke Shaw will come on the pitch and he will just prove me wrong. Like, there'll be a moment where Luke Shaw's class just shines through and you're like, that's why we needed Luke Shaw all this time. That's why we needed to have him in the tide. But then he won't be fit the week after and you'll be like, I hate Luke Shaw. I just want him gone. Like, there's no point in this guy. Like, he gets our ropes up and then he just disappears with another injury. That's the problem you've got. It's separating the unreliable player to the world-class player. And I think Luke Shaw could be world-class, but he's never ever, and he never had the chance to because of the inconsistencies with his injuries constantly. I do believe if he didn't have that leg break, he would be an absolute world beater, Luke Shaw. But it has hampered him throughout his career now after that bad break under Van Gaal. And I think you do have to have a little bit of sympathy for him in that department. But we're fans of the football club. Not one player is bigger than the football club, and you cannot wait around forever and a day for a player to find his form and find fitness. Like, you have to move past it. And United will go out and buy a left-back in January or in the summer, like we've discussed before. And I think that will be the way that we move forward. I don't see Luke Shaw being Manchester United's regular left-back anytime soon. I think Ten Hag realises this. I think he has to move past it. And I think we'll start seeing more players playing ahead of Luke Shaw. And Luke Shaw could possibly be on the bench. That's what we need anyway. If you've got the likes of Luke Shaw and CASEMIRO on the bench, players like this, Marcus Rashford on the bench, well-paid, well-capped, well-decorated players sat on the bench, and they're watching these other players on the pitch, you will find a lot out about their character. And to be honest, if you ask me now from what I've watched in football and what I've watched with these players and United, if any of them three players were sat on the bench, CASEMIRO, Rashford and Luke Shaw, and you need to rely on one of them players to take that as the moment where they thought, I need to actually up my game here and get back in this side. There's only one player I think would do it out of the three. The other two I think would see their asses. And you all know who I mean and which one of them players I think should or would actually use it as like a bit of a kick up the arse and say, I need to get better. And you tell me, put your comments in. Let's see where the poll is regarding Ugarte as well. Will Erik Ten Hag start Ugarte on Saturday? Keep voting on the poll, everybody. Well over 800 in the room with us. 51% of you have said no, he will not start Manuel Ugarte this weekend. I can see why. I can, for reasons that we've discussed in detail in this video. Back in the chat, David says that Shaw needs to go easy on the five guys, though. Whenever he's injured, he looks unfit, as in out of shape. Yeah, I get that. Gehan says, I feel for Shaw, the leg break is the cause of it. I think Shaw needs to go in the summer. I wish him all the best away from United. If he stays, then he can sit on the bench like Maguire. Maguire will be gone in the summer as well. Director of football, it's not about Ole. Really, he played a counter-attacking style. That's why he liked Bruno. But in a possession-based team, like most top teams, he won't work. Portugal are a possession-based team and are very good. I'll just keep saying it. Stephanie, team ethic, desperately needed. Favourites need to do more than just moments. Shape up or ship out, says Stephanie. Andrew says, he's talking to Louise, sorry. Okay, guys, come on, get them likes up, everybody. We're nearly at the 200 mark. We need to hit that 200 mark. I think it's a standard for a morning show at least. So please give the video a like, everyone. So we're going through, if you have just joined us, Manuel Ugarte played 90 minutes last night for Uruguay. Another clean sheet for them. He is ready to go for this weekend. Garnacho, Zirkzee, Mainu and Maguire all rested. Whether or not conversations were had between coaches and how much game time these players should actually have, I don't know. We will see. But I think it's good for Ten Hag to have players that have got game time that needed it, and players that have been playing a bit of game time actually got a rest before this busy period. Let's not forget, the next 4 weeks pretty much is 2 games a week all the way through, and United are going to need everybody. Ten Hag needs to get off to a good start in the Europa League as well. So the FC 20 game and Porto games are massive for him. So utilise the squad. But still, I'm sticking by Manuel Ugarte should be starting this Saturday. I don't care about the kickoff time. I don't care that he's not played all summer. I don't care that it's international week. Everyone else had an international week and they will be playing games. Manuel Ugarte has just started 2 games and played a full 90 minutes in his last game for Uruguay. He's ready. He will be back today later on. He will have 2 days then back at Carrington to prepare for the game against Southampton, like everybody else. And there's no excuse not to play him. I think he adds steel. I think he adds grit. I think he adds that extra little bit of security for Manchester United. And in a game that you need to win, you need to be playing your best players. And I think Ten Hag now has to realise that he has to make big calls. This isn't going to last. This isn't the old regime where you've got Murto the lapdog doing absolutely everything he can to back you up. Murto's gone. You've got a football structure which is looking for a style of football right now. We talked about last night actually having an identity is important too in Ineos, according to a lot of reports and sources, rather than actually getting results. So that, for me, says that, look, we're not bothered about winning trophies. We're not bothered about the results of the game. The results will come when we start performing better. If we can have an identity and everybody knows what United are all about, and the players can actually tap into that and use that and help them perform better, then Manchester United will inevitably start competing at the top of European football again. Well, that's the aim anyway. But in the short term, it means that United will win games anyway, and it will be better. It will be better on the eye. We'll actually have a style of play and know what we're doing. And you know what, like, the Moments FC tag is always going to be with Manchester United while we're scrapping around these games. You should be walking into Southampton and just saying, look, no disrespect, we're going to come here and just take the 3 points. It's as simple as that. They need to have that aura about them. They need to be going into these games knowing that they're going to win. It just doesn't look like we start games or go into games and the way we play, like we're fully convinced that we are who we are and we're actually going to get the result. It never has been under Ten Hag. There's always that if, but, and maybe factor about it. I just don't see how Ten Hag finds this style of play that Ineos are talking about. I just want to see drastic change. Drastic change means playing the likes of Ugarte, dropping CASEMIRO. If you have to drop Bruno Fernandes or Marcus Rashford, out they go. Start making big calls and start making this team believe in you. Because when you've got a full squad of players that actually look at decisions like that, Marcus Rashford or Bruno or CASEMIRO or Luke Shaw sat on the bench in a game and other players playing in their place, they think that they can do more and actually perform better and have a chance of playing rather than before and getting that one crappy game against a Barnsley or a League Cup game or at the end of the Europa League when we've already qualified, and they can do everything that they can in their power to perform well and have a good game, knowing that they're not going to be playing the week after because the favourites are going to come back in. You're never going to get absolutely everything out of a player. But if you give players opportunity and reward them with game time for playing well, then that is where you go forward. That's when you start to get that consistency, because you've got a player that will come off the bench and take another player's role and actually do better because he knows he's got a chance of taking that player's place. Everything like that just doesn't happen at Manchester United because Ten Hag's stubbornness, he will go and pick his favourites again the week after. And then that player sat on the bench is like, why do I bother? And I said, why? And this is the problem that you've got right now. And this is what Ten Hag is creating. He can change it all. He can change it all. And he can actually make it at United. But he's got to make some massive call. He's got to start. I don't want to... I'm not going to say show his balls. But I just did. Sorry. Yeah. But you know what I mean. You know what I mean. And... there's only one man who can change everything that's there. I feel the squad is strong enough. I feel the squad is good enough. And now that the internationals are over, I've seen who's played. I know that there's no injuries. I'm looking at it. Honestly, I'll say it again, and it's banging the same drum over and over again, I know. But this has been the best international break for Manchester United going that we've had in ages. Like player recovery on injuries, players playing well, players getting game time, everybody's fit, everybody's rested who needed to be rested. Let's just go out there and beat Southampton, shall we? That's all we need to do right now. It's not too much to ask, is it? Erik ten Hag needs to go back to basics, start with a formation change, or just give up on start playing counter-attacking football. Get fighting. That was from that for football. Getting says Erik ten Hag never makes big calls. He stays at the same all season. Look at the cup. He only changed the keeper once in all those games. By the way, we need a new keeper. The one we have can't save shots. I know. United Spotlight. I want Erik ten Hag out ASAP, and I want to see a new manager that does with Bruno. If he's still acting like he is now, all over the place, ill-disciplined, he needs to go. Rashford, Bruno, Maguire, Shaw all need to go. Bruno doesn't. Keep disagreeing with everyone on that, but you know how I feel. One thing people have not picked up on is that the Glazers are keen on marketing side. Rashford is number one shirt seller. To be honest, mate, the football side of things, Rashford, really, his stock has never been lower. So if there's any sense, and Ineos won't let the marketing side get ahead of anything. that United are trying to do on the pitch. There's no chance. I don't see it. Hi, Adam. Ugarte had a very good stats against Venezuela. He definitely has to start versus Southampton. Agreed. We have got over 200 likes as well. Thank you, guys. Absolutely mega show. I really appreciate that. Honestly speaking, from the Liverpool performance, Rashford, Xerxes, Ahmad, Casemiro, Ugarte, Menu, Delo, De Ligt, Martinez, Masraoui and Bayende would be my starting 11. Interesting to see where you play them, Exendra. United Spotlight. He's 30, has been here 7 years. Talk about youth and progression. Bruno is not in the way he plays. He's the experience that these young players need. Look, we're going to argue about Bruno forever and a day. He's just one of them players. Definitely not the issue at Manchester United right now. I need to reiterate that. But that is your morning update show, everybody. Like normal, now through the season, if anything significant comes out, I'll be back with you. Make sure you've got your bell notification switched on. That will be around about midday time for any big breaking news. Other than that, we'll see you at 6:30 this evening for the full interactive show again, live with all the Manchester United updates coming your way. Hopefully not talking anything about injuries or anything like that, and everybody's got a clean bill of health. It is full on now, countdown to the weekend. Everyone arrives back today, and it's all about Premier League football again, and Carabao football, and Europa League football. But that is it. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to the Super Chats, donations, mods and members in the chats. Great stream again. I will see you all later on today. I'll just, like I said, keep your notifications on for any updates coming out. I'll keep you posted on everything that's happening, everyone. Cheers, guys.